While dining with her millionaire husband, an incredible text revealed a hidden danger: run now. Alice sat at an elegantly set table, the soft glow of chandeliers casting a warm light across her husband Tom's handsome face. The plush atmosphere of the upscale restaurant felt surreal compared to the small diner in Ohio where she used to work tirelessly. It was their anniversary, a moment she had dreamt of celebrating, and here they were, toasting to their journey, a journey that took her from serving burgers to dining in luxury. Yet, as she lifted her glass, the weight of happiness felt precarious. The glass clinked against Tom's with a satisfying sound, but before the celebratory warmth could wrap around her, her phone buzzed on the table. The text read like an ominous whisper that cut through the bubbling chatter around them: run now. For a heartbeat, she froze, the world narrowing down to that single sentence lost amidst the laughter and clinking cutlery. Alice's heart thundered. She thought of her 2 kids at home, the way their faces lit up each time she walked through the door after a shift. A protective instinct surged through her, an unyielding urge to keep them safe. She glanced around the luxurious restaurant, its glamour suddenly feeling like a gilded cage. Tom's charm gave off a glow she had once believed in completely, but now that light seemed dimmed with shadows she could no longer ignore. Everything okay? Tom's voice broke her reverie, concern dancing in his eyes. For a moment, she searched his face, looking for comfort. But there was something hidden, a flicker that made her gut twist. Could it be that beneath the tailored suit and polished smile lay secrets she wasn't ready to uncover? The night dragged on, each moment stretched thin against the backdrop of her racing heart. The ambience felt like a stark contrast to the cyclone of turmoil inside her. She recalled whispered stories about Tom's business dealings. Could the text be connected to that? The titters of the elite, their conversations swimming in political intrigue and dangerous liaisons, echoed in her memory. What had she overlooked while trying to build a life they both desired? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The candles flickered as she was lost in thought, and her anxiety snowballed. What if the threat was real? The flight toward safety became a haunting possibility. She imagined fleeing with her children, the 3 of them wrangling bags and secrets, leaving behind the image of the perfect life. But how far could she run? Alice's thoughts raced as she started piecing together Tom's secrets, uncovering the tangled web woven through their relationship. Glimpses of shadowy figures in her neighborhood began to invade her mind, fragments of hushed conversation sparking chills down her spine. Just when clarity seemed to elude her grasp, another text pinged on her phone: "They are coming for you." The insidious panic gripped her heart. She understood with agonizing clarity that the life she had fought so hard to create could be slipping through her fingers. Would she confront Tom, shatter their world of fine dining and dreams, or would she prioritize the safety of her family over the love she harbored for a man cloaked in shadows? Alice felt a fierce determination rise within her, a fight for resilience that she hoped would bind her family together, or perhaps send their lives spiraling apart. With her chest tight and breath shallow, she braced for the imminent storm that loomed on the horizon, ready to reclaim her identity. Amidst the chaos, Alice's breath came in quick, shallow gasps as she tried to mask her fear with a smile. Tom, always the attentive husband, leaned in closer, his brow furrowing with concern. "You sure you're all right?" he asked, his voice low and smooth, yet somehow laced with an impatience Alice had never noticed before. She nodded, biting her lip, weighing the choice between honesty and deception. Could she really let him into her spiraling thoughts, or would revealing her anxiety only tip the balance further toward chaos? The clock on the nearby wall ticked loudly in her ears, reminding her how little time she had left to make a decision. In an attempt to steady her shaking hands, she picked up her wine glass, letting the rich aroma soothe her senses. It should have been a celebratory moment, yet the taste of the Merlot turned bitter and heavy on her tongue. What had once felt like the pinnacle of success and happiness now felt like a trap built on lies. "What are you thinking about?" Tom pressed, tilting his head slightly, as though he could unravel the truth through sheer force of will. Alice stopped herself from reaching for her phone again. The messages screamed in her mind. "It's nothing," she managed, forcing the words out. "Just a little overwhelmed." The lie hung in the air, strained and unconvincing. Tom's mouth tightened, the warmth in his eyes flickering for a moment. "If something's bothering you, Alice, you know you can talk to me, right?" Could she? The second text throbbed in her mind. "They are coming for you." What exactly did that mean? Who were the they? A part of her wanted to bolt from the restaurant. But she couldn't. Not with Tom sitting across from her, exuding the kind of confidence that had first drawn her to him. Then, just as she was about to ask about his day, the restaurant doors swung open. A chill swept through the warm air, and Alice's stomach twisted. A pair of men entered, dressed sharply, their eyes scanning the room. Recognition sliced through her, they frequented the same circles as Tom. They were not just any men, they were from a world she had been slowly introduced to in recent months, a world fraught with intrigue and danger. As the pair approached their table, she felt the ground shift beneath her feet. "Tom." One of them greeted jovially, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. "We need to chat." Alice's heart raced. Something was wrong, she felt it deeply. She darted her eyes between Tom and the newcomers, searching for a sign, a flicker of warning or reassurance from her husband. But Tom's face had gone stone-like, his earlier warmth replaced by a mask of calculation. "Now? Can't it wait until later?" Tom replied, voice unnaturally calm, yet Alice could hear the tension in his words. "No. It's urgent." The second man's tone shifted, and suddenly the playful guise evaporated like mist. "It's about your business." "Oh." Tom leaned back, crossing his arms, but Alice noticed the tightness around his jaw. That was a warning sign she recognized well. Tom was about to face a storm. An instinctual dread flooded Alice's body. She grabbed her purse, moving to rise from her seat. They needed to get out of there. They had to leave now, but the urgency blaring in her mind battled against her loyalty to Tom. "Wait." Tom's tone changed. Suddenly, he was a different man, one she didn't fully recognize. "Let us talk, just the three of us." "Alice, sweetheart, could you give us a moment?" Every part of her screamed to stay, to confront the truth, but the look in Tom's eyes told a different story. A glimmer of panic. A whispered plea. As she stepped away, she could feel her heart pounding in her chest, the adrenaline flooding her veins. Could she trust him? Would this moment of separation lead to despair, or might it reveal the lies she'd grown to believe? The door closed behind her with a dull thud. She stood outside, the air sharp and cool against her skin, wondering, praying she had made the right choice, but that was not the only question weighing on her. What would she find out when Tom would finally come out? Alice's phone buzzed in her pocket, breaking the stillness like a gunshot. She hesitated before pulling it out, her heart racing. The screen lit up with another message. "Don't trust him. Run." Alice's mind whirled, the weight of the words on her phone making her head spin. Don't trust him. Run. Who was sending this? And how did they know? Every moment stretched out, filled with dread and a frantic need to act. She leaned against the cold brick wall outside the restaurant, staring into the distance as she wrestled with her thoughts. What if Tom was caught up in something dark? Hidden secrets were the foundation of their life together, but was this something she could ever truly understand? She glanced back toward the door, searching for any sign of him. The way those men had approached him, the tension that crackled between them, it felt like they were on the edge of a cliff. Her heart raced as she remembered the earlier moments, the laughter and warmth they'd shared over dinner. How could everything turn so quickly? She took a deep breath, trying to clear her mind. How could the image of the man she loved become so distorted, so unrecognizable? Fumbling with her phone again, Alice found herself typing back a reply to the unknown sender. "Who are you? What do you know?" A single thought pulsed through her: if she was going down this path, she needed answers. The fear of the unknown gripped her. Unless she confronted it, she'd always be left guessing. The screen lit up before she could even lock her phone, vibrating with a response. "There's no time to explain. Just leave him. Now." Panic surged through her veins. Should she take these words seriously? What if the sender was wrong, or worse, part of some twisted game? Alice bit her nails, glancing around as pedestrians drifted by, oblivious to her turmoil. Yet, in this moment, she felt utterly alone, split between the love she knew and the fear that tightened around her throat like a vice grip. Finally, she gathered her resolve. She couldn't just stand there, waiting for Tom to come out and explain everything. If something was truly wrong, she needed to be prepared. The diligent part of her kicked in. She'd always been organized, a planner. Making her way to the nearest coffee shop, she stepped inside, hoping for a moment of clarity. The warm, familiar smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, grounding her, yet it also felt out of place. She needed to act fast, but staying grounded was vital. With a racing heart, she sat at a small table, pulled out her laptop, and tapped into the Wi-Fi. Searching online, she began delving into Tom's business companies, partnerships, anything she could find that might connect to those men. Her hands shook slightly as she typed, adrenaline propelling her forward. Minutes felt like hours as she sifted through names and numbers, hoping to expose something, anything. With each click, the urgency grew. A part of her whispered to turn back, to go home and believe in him, but the louder part demanded answers. Then, a name jumped out at her. It wasn't just any name, it was linked to the men she had seen, their business transactions steeped in shadows. Her heart nearly stopped as she read the details. Money laundering. Ties to organized crime. No. No, she whispered, clutching her phone so tightly it hurt. Alice reached for a nearby napkin, jotting down every detail. If Tom was involved in this, everything would shatter like glass. But would he ever let her in? Would she have the strength to confront him with what she had found? The din of the shop faded as she felt the weight of her choices crushing down on her. The moment of truth was inching closer. Tom's secrets threatened to unravel the life they had built, and she could be at the very center of a storm. As she left the cafe, a shudder ran through her. She glanced back at the restaurant's awning, waiting, anticipating the moment Tom would emerge with answers or perhaps more questions. And then it hit her like a bolt of lightning: what if she couldn't trust anyone at all? What if Tom, her husband, the man she loved, was the real danger? The door opened, and she froze. There was Tom, stepping out with the two men, their faces serious, their voices hushed. Was he about to betray her trust in the worst way imaginable? Alice hurriedly backed away, her heart racing. She needed a plan. She could either confront him now or slip away unseen and uncover more, but which path would lead her to the truth? Alice's breath caught in her throat as she watched Tom stride towards the street, those two men flanking him like shadows. Her heart pounded against her ribcage, a frantic echo that screamed for action. She had only seconds to decide. Turning away, Alice felt a rush of adrenaline propel her forward, away from the scene. She ducked into an alley beside the cafe, pressing herself against the cool bricks, her mind racing. She couldn't just stand by. She had to find out what was happening. Calming her racing heart, she took deep breaths. Tom had always been her refuge, her soft place to land, but now doubt seeped into that safety. What if his life had spiraled into something she couldn't fathom? The very foundation of their marriage was built on trust, and yet, now, it felt like a house of cards. A part of her screamed to confront him, to demand answers right then and there. But another part understood the danger of doing so. If he really was involved in something criminal, stepping into the light might put her in even greater risk. Drawing in a shuddering breath, she pulled out her phone and typed another message to the unknown sender. What do I do? He's with them. The seconds felt like hours as she waited for a response. But beneath the chaos of her thoughts, a new level of determination sparked. If they were really tangled up in something illegal, she wouldn't be a passive participant. She had to protect herself. The message pinged back almost instantaneously. Follow them. Find out where they go. Be careful. Alice's skin prickled. The gravity of what she was about to do sank deeper into her. Was she ready to follow her husband into danger? The answer churned in her stomach. She couldn't walk away now, not when the truth lurked just out of reach. Peeking around the corner, she watched as Tom and the men reached a sleek black car. They climbed in, unaware of her presence just steps away. Her heart raced. She eased herself forward, pulling on a hoodie she always kept in her bag for chilly days. Under the shadow, she felt slightly shielded from prying eyes, but the anxiety gripped her throat again. With feet that felt heavier than lead, she moved, keeping to the corners as she trailed the car down the street, blending in with passing pedestrians. She couldn't help but glance back to catch any other signs of danger, anyone looking for her, any eyes that might recognize her as the wife of Tom, who was now entwined with men who looked like trouble. The yellow cab they drove vanished into traffic ahead, and she picked up her pace. She pulled out her phone and snapped a picture of the license plate. Just in case. Every corner turned gripped her with anticipation. Where were they headed? Her mind was racing with all the terrible things that could be unfolding just ahead of her. Were they meeting someone? Or was it a drop-off? Finally, the cab slowed and pulled into a dim parking lot behind an unmarked building. Her heart sank as she watched Tom and the men exit the vehicle. The imposing structure loomed over her, its dark windows hiding whatever clandestine activities lay inside. Alice hesitated at the edge of the lot, her instincts telling her to run. But she couldn't turn away now. She peered through the shadows, every muscle in her body taut with tension. Would she find answers, or was she walking into a darkness she could never escape? Suddenly, she heard a sharp voice behind her. What are you doing here? She whipped around, her breath hitching. A stranger stood there, arms crossed and eyes narrowed, clearly not one to be trifled with. In that moment, Alice knew she was in over her head. There was no turning back. Just as truth began to unravel, it opened the door to more questions, and danger lurked closer than she had ever imagined. Tell me, she thought, heart racing. Can I trust him at all? Alice's throat went dry as she faced the stranger, a palpable unease wrapping around her like a thick fog. His glare was intense, searching her face as though he could read the tumultuous thoughts racing through her mind. Who are you? What do you want? She stammered, her voice unsteady. He pushed off the wall, taking a step closer. With a slight smirk, he said, You're not supposed to be here, sweetheart. This place is off-limits for folks like you. Like me? She echoed, a mix of defiance and fear coursing through her. She clenched her fists, desperately trying to project courage. Shifting her weight, she started to back away, trying to find a way out of this predicament. "Your husband," he began, but before he could finish, the door to the building creaked open, and Tom stepped out, flanked by the men he had been with. He looked up, eyes wide when he saw her silhouette. "Alice." His voice tore through the night, sending shockwaves of confusion and anxiety racing through her. Would he defend her? Or was this the moment her worst fears were confirmed? The man's grin faded as he stepped forward, blocking her path. "Look, I do recommend you leave, and don't tell anyone you saw what you did." Tom's voice grew urgent as he approached. "What is going on?" "I'm fine," Alice called out, though doubt lingered in her heart. Could she really convince him she was okay? "Let her go," Tom commanded, taking an aggressive step toward the stranger. The air thickened with tension, and for a fleeting moment, Alice felt hope maybe he would protect her. But then the man chuckled, a low, threatening sound that sent chills down her spine. "You got yourself in deep, buddy. What happens next is up to her." Tom's expression shifted from concern to panic as he turned back to Alice, pleading, eyes searching for answers. "Alice, please. Just go back home." "Home?" The word felt foreign on her lips. This was supposed to be their home, a safe place. You can't throw me away like that." The stranger was watching them, assessing the situation. "Tick-tock," he warned impatiently, checking his watch. "You've got about 3 minutes before the real fun starts." Alice's heart raced. The urgency in his tone sank into her bones, igniting a desperation to discover the truth. Could she risk confronting Tom about whatever dark secret lay between them? "Who are these men, Tom?" she demanded, her voice rising as anger mixed with fear. Tom stepped back, his face a mask of conflict. "You don't understand." "Understand what?" She felt raw, exposed. "You don't get to keep me in the dark right now." With her resolve boiling over, Alice confronted the danger head-on. She had a choice to make, and for the first time, it was hers to take, not Tom's. Then the front door swung open wider, and another figure emerged. A woman, elegantly dressed, eyes cold and calculating. "Time is up," she said, her voice slick as oil. "Let us go." As her heart hammered in her chest, Alice felt the world close in around her. This was no longer just a matter of trust, now there were lives at stake. Could she trust Tom, or was he about to lead her deeper into a nightmare? With her mind racing, she scanned her surroundings, desperate for an escape route. Who was she really going to stand with? Suddenly, the woman turned toward Alice, her icy gaze locking on. "You will come with us one way or another." And just like that, Alice's world tilted once more on its axis. She wasn't just a bystander anymore, she was part of something much larger than herself, and she needed to choose her next move quickly. Could she muster the courage to fight for the truth? Or would she be swept away, unable to grasp the threads of her own life? The answers lingered out of reach as the darkness loomed closer. Run, Alice thought, her mind racing. Or stay and stand my ground? Alice's heart pounded loudly in her ears as she faced the men who surrounded her. The stranger, with his taunting smirk, remained just a few steps away, while Tom stood frozen, caught between pleading and fury. The tension in the air was palpable, thick enough to suffocate. "Let us go now, Alice," Tom said, his voice suddenly low, almost pleading. The panic flickered in his eyes, a silent admission that he had more to protect than just her safety. "No," she shouted, time slipping away with each moment they wasted. "You can't just make decisions for me anymore. I want answers." The woman stepped closer, her demeanor barely flinching as she scanned Alice with a measured gaze. "You have no idea who you're dealing with. You think you can toy with this? Your husband, he has choices to make, and so do you. Tom's expression shifted, revealing a glimmer of something unrecognizable: fear. Guilt. Alice felt the weight of it, a heavy anchor pulling her deeper into a mystery that felt increasingly menacing. What was Tom keeping from her? Do you think I'll just let you drag me back into your lies? She turned to face Tom, demanding clarity. What is this place? What is really going on? Please, Alice. His plea sounded desperate, as though he were on the edge of a cliff, ready to fall. There are forces here you don't understand. Then let me understand. She shouted, eyes wide with indignation. The stranger chuckled softly, an unsettling sound. You want to know, huh? What a curious little mouse you are, but mouses get caught eventually. He stepped back, gesturing towards the woman beside him. You really should think this through. Alice's fingers trembled, feeling the adrenaline surge. She wouldn't let fear dictate her choice any longer. I'm done being scared of what you might do. She took a breath, focusing on Tom. Tell me the truth, or I will walk away from all of this. The woman raised an eyebrow, intrigued, as if Alice's defiance was unexpected. Brave, I'll give you that. But bravery can lead to consequences. Tom shook his head, stepping forward, but the woman raised her hand, halting him. No, let her speak, she said, her eyes glinting with amusement and malice. I'm not going anywhere with you, Alice shouted, feeling a flicker of empowerment. Just tell me what I need to know, Tom. Did you get caught up in something dangerous? Is that why you brought me here? The urgency of the situation squeezed her heart. She needed answers without the chilling ambiguity. Tom's gaze fell, revealing cracks in his usual confidence. You shouldn't have come, he whispered. You don't belong here. Who decided that? You. Alice felt rage bubble up. You've kept me in the dark for too long. I'm not going to let you dictate my happiness. Not anymore. Time is really running out, the stranger interjected, his smirk fading, impatience rising. Fine, Tom relented, eyes dark with conflict. But if I tell you, if you learn the truth, you may wish you hadn't. Better to know than live in this prison of lies. She declared defiantly, each word giving her strength. With a swift motion, Tom took a step toward her, his expression torn. Just as he opened his mouth to share the dark secrets he had hidden, the air around them shifted, and the door slammed shut. In that split second, the atmosphere changed. Alice's breath hitched. Outside, headlights pierced the darkness, illuminating the scene in an eerie glow. Someone was approaching. What now? She thought, anxiety flipping in her stomach as she realized time was no longer her ally. Tom's voice shot back into focus, urgent and strained. We need to move. Fast. I'll explain everything once we're away from them. Alice faltered, torn between the truth and the safety of the unknown. Did she trust him? The shadow of danger loomed large, but a powerful instinct urged her forward. All right, then, she said, adrenaline coursing through her. Let us go. As she turned to flee, the cold voice of the woman cut through the tension, sharp as glass. You can run, but you'll soon learn you can't escape this. With those words ringing ominously in her ears, Alice took off, racing into the night, unsure if she was diving into safety or deeper into the chaos that threatened to consume her. What awaited them around the next corner? Would the truth be more frightening than the lie? The night air was cool against Alice's skin as she sprinted alongside Tom, fear sparking in her chest with every stride. The headlights from the approaching vehicle drew closer, scenes of shadows dancing ominously in the glow. She could hear the crunch of gravel underfoot, the sound punctuating her rapid breaths. Where are we going? She asked, her voice strained but steady. They raced past trees looming like silent sentinels, their branches reaching out like grasping hands. "Just keep running," Tom urged, casting quick glances over his shoulder. "We need to put some distance between us and them." Alice felt the weight of his words, the ghostly chill they conjured. She wanted to trust him. She really did. But the uncertainty gnawed at her. "Tom, please." She pressed, skirting a thorny branch, her heart racing faster than her legs could keep up. "I need to know what is going on. Why are they after you?" I'm doing this to protect you," he shouted back, his voice raw with urgency. "Protect me? This doesn't feel like protection." The tension between them crackled in the air, mixed with the impending threat that loomed ahead. Then, a sudden noise broke through the night, a shout, followed by the sound of heavy footsteps closing in. Alice couldn't tell if it was just her imagination running wild or if danger truly lurked close. Her heart threatened to leap from her chest as adrenaline surged. "Faster," Tom urged, a sense of panic creeping into his tone. Ahead, Alice spotted a partial shadow, an old abandoned house. "There. We can hide in there." She directed them toward the building, desperate for refuge. As they entered, the door creaked eerily, the sound echoing into the dark recesses. Dust motes floated lazily in the beam of moonlight filtering through cracked windows. Shelves lined with forgotten trinkets stood stooped under the weight of neglect. Tom pressed against the door, listening intently. Alice could see the tension in his jaw, the anxiety tightening his features. "Tell me," she pressed, breathing hard. "What do they want with you?" He looked pained, his eyes dark, shadowed by the past. "It's more complicated than just me. It's about us, Alice. About everything we thought we had." She rubbed her forehead, the weight of his words steeping into her. "What do you mean? Are you saying we're in danger because of something that involves me too?" Tom hesitated, and that hesitance spoke volumes. "You don't know everything, but it's not just about threats. It goes deeper. I was chasing shadows that shouldn't have been disturbed." "What shadows?" Her voice trembled as she struggled to grasp it all. Suddenly, the door rattled violently, jolting them both. Alice's breath caught in her throat as Tom turned towards her, urgency pouring from his eyes. "They're here," he whispered, the fear palpable. "We have to move before they get in." The footsteps grew louder, the sound surging with a menacing rhythm. Alice shivered, feeling a mix of fear and resolve wash over her. This wasn't just about finding safety, this was about confronting the truth that had been kept hidden for far too long. "Beyond this, I swear, you'll regret the choices you've made tonight," he added, his voice so low it was almost drowned out by the drumming of her heart. Alice could almost see the veil of secrets between them lifting. Her next question hung heavy in the air, barely contained by her lips. "What do you know about them, about this place?" But before she could speak it, the door splintered under the pressure of a heavy body, and Alice knew time was no longer on their side. The moment had arrived, and with it, the looming tension of a dangerous truth. Would knowing the truth be the key to their survival, or would it bind them to an inevitable downfall? In the dim light of the abandoned house, the world outside grew louder, the pounding of footsteps and the frantic shouts becoming a chaotic chorus of dread. Alice's heart raced as the door creaked ominously, each splinter sending a fresh wave of panic through her. She glanced at Tom, whose face had tightened with fear, the weight of unspoken truths heavy in the air between them. "Where do we go?" Alice whispered, her voice barely breaking through the din. Tom's eyes darted towards the staircase spiraling up into the darkness above. "Up there. We can find a place to hide." It wasn't a suggestion, it felt like a survival instinct. They sprinted toward the stairs, Alice's hands brushing against the dust-laden banister, the chill of the wood grounding her amid the fear. As they climbed, Alice's mind raced. Shadows danced on the walls, distorted by their movements. The house, once warm with memories, filled her with an unfamiliar terror. She couldn't shake the feeling that every step brought them closer to some revelation that might shatter everything she thought was true. "What do you mean, Tom? What shadows?" The questions poured out, desperate to fill the silence. "I made a mistake, Alice," he said, his voice strained as they reached the top. "I thought I could handle it alone. But it's about more than just me. You're involved too. Why don't you just tell me?" She felt her voice crack, frustration mingling with fear. "I need to know what this is all about." Before he could answer, another jolt echoed through the house, this time from below. The door they had just passed shuddered violently, as if someone was trying to get inside. Alice pressed her back against the wall, her breath shallow. "We have to move quick." "Find a room," Tom urged, pulling her toward a door at the end of the corridor. He opened it, revealing a dark, dusty room that smelled of mildew. "In here." They slipped inside, and Tom closed the door gently. The click of the latch sounded impossibly loud. Inside, the air was stale, thick with layers of history. A few cobwebs clung to the corners, where shadows hid secrets. "What do you have to protect me from?" Tom's eyes softened for a moment, a flicker of the warmth she knew, but it vanished quickly. "I made enemies, Alice, and they don't care who gets hurt in the process. They want what I took from them." "What did you take?" The words were cutting, harsh in the suffocating silence. He hesitated, shifting from foot to foot, a storm of emotion brewing behind his eyes. "It doesn't matter now. What matters is getting out of here and keeping you safe." The sound of footsteps grew louder, echoing through the house. Alice felt a cold sweat drip down her back. The figures of men moved outside the door, their voices low, plotting. "Can you hear them?" Alice whispered, panic rising. "Tom, what if they find us?" "We can't let them," he replied, his voice calm but resolute. "Trust me. I'm not going to let anything happen to you." Trust. It was a fragile word, one that felt heavy with all that was unsaid. Tom took her hands, his grip firm and reassuring. "Whatever happens, stay close." As questions swirled in her mind, the murmurs outside grew more threatening. The door rattled again, this time more violently. It felt like a countdown to something inevitable. "How do we fight this, Tom? How do we survive?" "It's not just about fighting," he said, his voice low as if solitude was their only ally against the chaos brewing beyond their door. "It's about outsmarting them. But I need you to promise me something." "What?" "Tell me. Whatever you hear, don't trust them. Not for a second." Just as she was about to respond, the door burst open, and light flooded into the room, illuminating everything in stark contrast. Shadows turned to figures, menacing silhouettes slipping through the threshold. Tom pushed Alice behind him, every muscle tense, ready for a confrontation. "Get behind me," he shouted, his voice steady, but she could see the underlying current of fear. An intense moment hung in the air, every second stretching painfully. The figures advanced, and a sudden realization struck Alice like thunder. What if this was just the beginning of the truth unraveling, a truth that could change everything she knew about her life, about Tom? With her heart racing, she grasped Tom's arm tighter. "I won't let you face this alone," she stated defiantly, steeling herself for whatever lay ahead. But little did she know, the truth was already circling them, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Did they stand a chance against the darkness that had come to haunt them? The storm of uncertainty loomed, ready to unleash its fury. The four figures stepped into the room, their silhouettes hardened by the bright light behind them. For a heartbeat, everything froze. Alice's breath lodged in her throat, and she felt the room grow smaller around her. Tom's body was a wall of tension, ready to shield her from whatever was coming. "Where is he?" one of the newcomers demanded, his voice deep and gravelly. There was an edge of impatience, like he'd already lost his patience with this game. "I don't know what you're talking about," Tom replied, his voice steady yet strained. He kept his back to Alice, a barrier between her and the storm brewing in front of them. The leader of the men took a step forward, scanning the room like a hawk. "You're lying. We know he is here. You think we'll just walk away?" Alice felt the drip of panic coil around her, a snake squeezing tighter with each passing moment. The way Tom stood, resolute yet terrified, filled her with a chaotic swirl of love and fear. She had to do something. She couldn't just stand there. "Tom, maybe we should talk to them. Maybe if we reason with no." Tom's voice cut through her, sharp and loud. "Don't you dare." His eyes darted back to hers, filled with urgency. "You don't know the stakes, Alice. This isn't bargaining, it's survival." The intruders were closing in, and Alice's mind raced. The realization settled, heavy on her chest. She had been pulled into a mess she didn't understand, one that threatened to engulf them both. She remembered Tom's warning, "Don't trust them." "Tell me what you've done," she breathed, her voice trembling but determined. "You said I was involved. What are you protecting me from?" Tom's jaw clenched, the lines on his face deepening. "Just listen. I've made mistakes, and if they find out that you know it, I'll put you in danger." "Danger?" The word echoed emptily in her mind. The men were still approaching, their faces now clearer in the dim light. A flicker of recognition twisted inside her. One of them, a man with dark hair and a scar slicing down his cheek, broke into a sneer. "You're not as clever as you think, Tom. The truth always comes out." "Shut up!" Tom shouted, his voice filled with raw anger. He stepped between Alice and the group as if he could shield her with just his presence, but it felt like a futile gesture. Before Alice could respond, the scarred man lunged forward, grabbing Tom by the collar and yanking him off balance. "You can't hide forever. You've crossed the wrong people." A surge of adrenaline rushed through Alice. She couldn't let this happen. Not to Tom. "Get away from him," she cried, her voice breaking the tension. The four men turned to her, their expressions shifting. The scarred man dropped Tom just enough to shoot her a scathing look. "You don't wanna get involved, sweetheart. This doesn't concern you." But that was it. She was all in now. "Yes, it does. Whatever you want, you can take him from me." Her voice rang in the silence, surprising even herself. Tom looked at her, doubt and admiration flickering in his eyes. "Alice, enough." The leader snapped, impatience boiling over. "You need to choose, Tom. This is your last chance. Choose." She whispered, confusion mingled with dread. "How do you choose something like this?" The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Was this the moment that ripped their lives apart? Would she need to make a decision that could change everything she believed about love and loyalty? As the figures closed in again, Alice felt a wave of resolve wash over her. She wouldn't let fear dictate her moves, she would fight for their chance, whatever it took. But as she opened her mouth to say what she thought was wisest, the world tilted again, and footsteps echoed from below, breaking the balance entirely. "Is it reinforcements?" the leader whispered sharply, eyes darting toward the door. Tom's grip on her tightened. "We need to go. Now." But how could they escape? There was nowhere to run, and everything felt razor thin, ready to shatter. There was a new urgency thrumming in the air, and with one crashing heartbeat, Alice knew that whatever lay ahead would expose the truth, whether they were ready or not. What did Tom really take, and was it worth the danger that hunted them down? The sound of footsteps reverberated through the house, the tension thick like fog. As the door creaked ominously, Alice's heart raced, each beat hammering the urgency of the moment into her mind. They had reached a breaking point, the air saturated with fear and uncertainty. "Tom," she exclaimed, her voice laced with desperation. "What do we do now?" Tom glanced at the door, his expression thunderous, but filled with that familiar warmth she had loved, even amidst this chaos. "We face it together." He grabbed her hand tightly, his grip a lifebuoy in the storm they were caught in. The door suddenly burst open, and the figures rushed in, their authoritative presence overwhelming the dim light of the room. Alice felt Tom's body tense beside her, the protective instincts kicking in. "Where's the man who crossed us?" the leader barked, his eyes blazing as he advanced. Tom stepped forward, shielding Alice as their eyes locked in a silent conversation. She could see the resolve swirling within him, as if he was gathering the strength to dive into the depths of what he had concealed for far too long. "I won't let you hurt her," Tom said firmly, the conviction in his voice cutting through the haze of fear. "Then you better start talking," the man with the scar growled, taking another threatening step closer. The heat radiating off Tom was palpable, and Alice felt a flicker of hope igniting within her. "You have to tell me the truth, Tom," she urged, her heart pounding against her ribcage. His shoulders dropped as he drew a deep breath, his eyes flicking between her and the looming threat. "What happened in the past? It's bigger than us. I made a choice to get involved in something I shouldn't have." "What choice, Tom?" she pressed, urgency sharpening her voice. "What did you take?" He met her gaze, and for a fleeting moment, she saw the man she had fallen in love with, the man she trusted. "I stole information, evidence against people who will kill to keep their secrets safe," the leader interjected with chilling laughter, slicing the moment of vulnerability. "And now you've brought her into this mess." Alice's heart sank. "What evidence? What do they want it for?" Tom's body stiffened, and she knew now was the moment of reckoning. "They use it for power, Alice. I thought I could protect you by hiding it. I was wrong. I can't let them get to you." The door rattled again, and the urgency spiked. It was clear that time was vanishing. "Protect her?" The man sneered, closing the gap once more. "You've already failed." Then it happened. A flicker of determination ignited within Alice. "No. You want to take him. You're not scaring me." In that instant, her fear transformed into a fierce resolve. "This ends now." Tom's brows furrowed, alarm flickering across his face. "Alice, don't. You don't understand." But she did, perhaps more than he realized. This was about her family, the future they could build together, a future that Tom had jeopardized through his choices. "I understand that. I want to stand down. Let us fight together." Tom's expression softened, his heartbeat sinking with hers as he stepped closer. The man's bravado faltered for just a moment, and opening a vulnerability Alice was determined to seize. "Stay back," she shouted, her voice filling the room with an electrifying energy. "You don't get to threaten what is mine." With that, she pushed forward, a stunning fire coursing through her. The leader exchanged glances with his men, hesitation rippling through that impressive front. "You'll regret this." But Alice was ready. She wouldn't cower behind Tom any longer. In that vulnerable moment, the weight of their secrets melted into the resolve that had begun to form. They were in this together. Just as the tension threatened to snap like a taut wire, a sudden sound echoed from below. The creak of a new voice reached their ears. "Get away from my daughter." Alice turned, her eyes widening. "Mom." Her heart soared at the sound, grounding her in the tumult. A breath, a spark, a moment they were not alone. She glanced back, seeing Tom's shock mirrored in her own disbelief. The woman advanced with purpose, wielding strength that seemed to push aside fear. "You will not take her." The intruders paused, caught off guard, and it was a moment of chaos then clarity. "Who is this?" The leader growled, but his voice was tinged with uncertainty now. Alice seized the moment, her heart pounding with renewed resolve as she stepped forward to stand beside her mother. "We stand together. Whatever you want from him, you want to get." Tom's hand found Alice's, their fingers intertwining, an unspoken promise shared between them. The weight hanging in the air, however, pressed back on them, the gravity of the choices yet to be made. The leader smirked, his bravado faltering. "You'll regret this. You have no idea who you're up against." But in that moment, something shifted within all of them. It was more than fear. They were unified in defiance, igniting a spark of rebellion against the darkness threatening to envelop them. "Whatever happens," Alice said, voice steady, "we face it with our heads high." Together, they pushed against the chaos, a united front fortified by love, defiance, and the unyielding promise that they would choose their path, no matter the consequences. As the shadows loomed closer and the air crackled with uncertainty, Alice remembered the power that came with truth and acceptance. They may be standing at the precipice of despair, but together, they would forge a new destiny, where darkness could never silence their light. Together, she thought, locking eyes with Tom and her mom, we're unstoppable. And as the night darkened around them, they ready to confront whatever fate awaited them, fueled by their unwavering bond. Resilience would line their path. Now was the moment to fight, and they were ready to emerge into the dawn. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this journey. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.